Hi guys, it has been a while, but we have been very busy. We've been working hard on all sorts of things, administration amongst others, but we've also been making quite some progress on a whole range of other things here on the property. So yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we will be uploading a few videos in the coming days and weeks. And yeah, enjoy.
What we are going to do today is building a couple of composts. To Archibald's father, he has explained us a little bit how to do our own compost. The ground is really poor, so we need to have a little bit of richer soil to be able to grow some of the vegetables and fruits that we are planning to. And therefore we are going to construct some compost boxes today from old pallets which we recuperated from various places. They're not standard Euro pallets, which you could also use, and they could be even handier because of the standard formats, but we were lucky enough to find enough pallets of similar sizes that we're going to use to construct some basic containers for our future compost. I think for the construction it will be much easier to have it like flush. I start with this corner?
Yep.
I just can imagine it's more difficult now. But maybe not.
So the compost box structure is there, screwed together with these kind of metal angles. It was a quick operation, and now to avoid all sorts of animals finding the compost a bit interesting because it's nice and warm and it's full of food leftovers and so on, we're using this wire mesh, or we're trying to use this wire mesh to clad the inside to prevent that. So we will make kind of, we are not sure, we could have done it in parts, cutting the wire to each panel and then screw the whole thing together. What we will try to do now is bend it into a U shape and then try to attach it to the wood. So that's what we are trying to establish now. Compost box number 1 is ready.
Done. Check. Time to fill it.
Yeah. So this is the thing.
It's empty.
It has been cladded with wire mesh to avoid critters and other animals to enter and maybe proliferate a bit too much. And this is our lid, just laying on top, which we can place a stone on top. Yeah, that'll do for the moment, I would say.
And if you wonder why there is no bottom to it, we have a concrete patch on which we're going to place it, which was used formerly for one of these lovely garages, which all need to go at one day. At one point, they all have concrete foundations, as it seems, and one of them that is standing right, or was standing right there, where you now see our pre-compost heaps. This is where this compost is going to go, and it has a concrete foundation, so no animals should be able to crawl in. Cross fingers. So now we're filling up the compost. Archibald is just collecting some
Greens?
and they go on some browns or branches, and which we had already here on that heap, which we just took out. So the layer you can hopefully see here underneath. And on top now go the green leaves. And the treasure hunt continues. The biggest hunter of the day is this guy here. He found already all those glorious old rusty tools. What else did you find?
A pump, which is for sure good.
Oh, you did find some gold in the end. Some busy hoarders have been collecting some metal here, so we are going to empty this now and find a way to recycle it. Basically we are sorting steel from aluminium, from tools. Oh!
Some roller skates.
Ah, this looks like you're gonna have a screechy tour. You're gonna strap them on. But is very careful to see what we can maybe still use, because in the end, like, if you have such a big house, there's always an interest in keeping some things that may come in handy at another point.
So today on the menu is dismantling this little construction that you see on my right hand side. It used to contain a gas tank used for whatever heating probably. And the rush now with dismantling this is that we would like to place a few temporary water containers on that spot. So we have a bit of rainwater for plants, gardening, instead of using tap water. And so I'm dismantling this little construction and trying to also recuperate as many bricks as possible, because those bricks are the same bricks as have been used for the rest of the building. And yeah, well, you never know what they could be useful for. There is a few bricks and walls to repair, replace, or build maybe. And we are not sure how common that type of brick is, so we better be very cautious with keeping as many of those as possible. Yeah. So here we've got a very hard baked brick, which you can recognize on this darker color over here. And I'm trying to keep those apart from the rest because they are stronger. they absorb less moisture and especially less sensitive to frost. Or quite a few bricks that I found in this wall suffer from frost, meaning they start to pulverize and they fall apart. These harder baked ones, these strong ones, don't have that problem at all, or at least way less. So those I keep separate for purposes of reuse, either on outside walls or walls that are close to the soil, where they are more exposed to moisture. So I thought it was interesting to highlight. And you also hear it on the sound that they are harder. So while taking down the little shed that used to host the gas containers, I'm now at the point where I'm dismantling sort of foundation they poured, concrete foundation, and underneath that I'm discovering a cast iron lid. So they basically just pull the concrete on top of everything, including this cast iron lid. I'll clean it in a moment, and here you see is the lid. I'm curious to see what I find underneath. Probably sort of small chamber, maybe for rainwater, maybe for wastewater. Probably not in use anymore or not functional anymore. Yeah, lots of surprises that have been covered up by time. Here also you see still an old fixture, a heavy duty ring, pulley, or some sort of hook here. This is a wheelbarrow we found on location. We kind of bought it with the house, but pretty shabby. And there we are, rainwater container in place. So with this thing we will be able to collect around about 1,000 liters of rainwater, which will help us a lot with providing some water to our gardening projects, plants and other things for which we will then not or no longer need tap water.
Today we're going to show you our previous accomplishments in our garden. So our garden is now consisting only of a very small patch which we started to undig. The ground is pretty difficult to garden in. Difficult because basically it's been constructed on and around in the past century, and many buildings have been teared down over the last couple of decades. And what we are trying to establish a garden onto is the former machine houses and other kind of buildings that were standing here. So we have a very thin layer of soil which is sitting on former foundations of those buildings which were constructed here. Therefore, the soil layer is perhaps between 20 and 50 centimeters thick only, and very dry, very poor.
We are not really trying to establish a vegetable garden here, so this will always remain more a garden for herbs and spices. But since the part where we want to have the vegetable garden, there the soil is much better. But since that part isn't ready yet for gardening, we are trying on a small scale to plant a few things here and there, and let's see what works and what doesn't. You remember maybe the video where we tried to clear this patch and where we started planting the herbs together with my father. And so now we make a little tour of what happened in the meantime, what has started to grow and how things are evolving on that level. So we planted 3 types of raspberries here. They are seeming to catch on quite well. As I said, the ground here is not very deep, so underneath that is a layer of stones, and you see that some of them suffer a little bit from drying earth. It has not been raining here for almost a month now, and you see some leaves hang a little bit more, especially like around noon, like right now they hang a bit, I think because they lack a bit of water. Then here we have a blueberry bush, seems to get along quite okay.
And we're gonna collect the first couple of blueberries probably pretty soon.
Then we've been sowing some kale and some Brussels sprouts, and we've just planted them.
Coming from Brussels, it was just not possible not to have Brussels sprouts. Sprouted by Brussels.
But be honest, I think you were more attracted by the fact there were purple Brussels sprouts.
Wow, that's true.
Rucola also is growing fine, but again, this soil layer here isn't very rich, so let's see what will come of it. For the rest, we've been planting some basil there, green one, purple one. Then we've heard something about a plant called borage. I don't know if that's the English name. It should be edible, I'm not sure.
Here we have some coriander, different types of oregano.
And so that's the patch we started to clear with my father, where we planted the different herbs that he brought. Sage is getting on really well. The Chinese chives and other chives are catching on. Here we've planted lavender, and also the gooseberries all along in the back are doing pretty well. So most things are coming out and catching along well. Here we tried to sow some chamomile. This didn't work. Maybe next year, let's see. So that's our little herbal patch for the moment, and we'd like to make this whole herbal patch take over this whole area here.
Yeah, we're gonna share some plans with you guys soon, how we are planning to arrange the garden around this monument which is still remaining here on our side. As Archibald just said, like, we want to establish a herbal garden and create different kind of heights, but really focusing on plants that can withstand drought, that can withstand the poor soil, and that are interesting for our kitchen.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that really makes sense on here, since the soil here in this particular spot here is quite stony, quite rich in minerals, but not very rich in nutrients. The only kind of plants that really manage on that ground are these kind of more Mediterranean herbs. So having a lush landscape of those kind of plants here is something that we thought would make sense and could be beautiful, and it's quite close to the building, so will be also interesting for some kitchen purposes.
And next to the herbal patch we have some beautiful strawberries. they seem to slowly but surely catch on. For the first season we just had 3 strawberries. Here's coming the 4th and the 5th one. We're hoping to obtain a few more in the next season in August.
And here we've got our terminators. It's a type of courgette, variety of courgette that we planted. They seem to manage well.
In case you don't believe us. Now we're walking around and we are on the back side of the herbal patch which we just showed you a second ago. As you can see, there's also a fence built all around it, which was there for security reasons, since the monument is not in perfect shape and it was a public area before, so the city which owned that place before had to be sure that no one was hurt if they were using these grounds, and secured it with that fence, which we will remove soon.
So here we've planted a few pumpkins. We tried to find a slightly more shadowy zone, thinking that pumpkins maybe don't like to be too exposed to direct sun. And we're struggling a bit with some snails. Every morning we check. A few got killed already. Others are...
Yeah, here we see these traces of those culprits. And maybe this little friend was to make it, we're not sure. Cross fingers.
Others then again are doing much better.
Yeah, we read watering, for instance, in the morning is better than in the evening, to be sure snails are not coming to the ground. We read that there is ash and coffee which can be put around the plant, so it's not attacked too much by the snails. We will try a couple of things and let you know what will be working and what not.
So we were lucky to receive 3 fig trees, very small ones, and also they seem to be thriving.
1, 2 and 3.
This one was taking a little longer, but is finally also shooting, making some buds. So all 3 made it.
And they were planted about 3 months ago, right?
Mid-April.
Mid-April. Now we have mid-June. 2 months.
It's a bit of a funny vegetable garden situation at the moment. We just couldn't wait to get started, so we planted some vegetables here and there, and as Teresa explained earlier, the soil is far from perfect. So here we've been sowing some beans. They came out well, so let's see how far they can get. There also we've got some loss, some snails finding bean leaves pretty tasty.
And as you can see, lots of nettles.
They're regularly cleared. I used a trimmer to clear them, but of course they come back.
I had a feeling I was just watering. This one this morning was like 2 centimeters high, and that's already like 8. I think this one is recovering, and it liked the water this morning. Yeah, this one was also eaten by the snails, but it's coming back and it's going to be glorious.
By the way, guys, maybe you noticed, but we have probably quite an improved sound quality thanks to my father. We now have a proper microphone, so the wind shouldn't disturb our conversations as much anymore. So that's, hope you noticed. Great.
Thank you.
And last but not least, our fruit trees, which we planted in early spring, somewhere in the beginning of March. Most of them are doing pretty well, despite the fact that they would actually need some fertilizer and some compost around them, which we do not have yet, so that's a bit frustrating, but they're finding their food nonetheless.
One thing you don't know yet is that I'm really lucky enough and very gifted with my beautiful parents, which happen to be beekeepers, They do this approximately since 10-15 years. And when we moved here, they were very excited about this one enormous, wonderful tree. It's not just one of them, but it's looking glorious. And they were really excited to bring over one of their beehives for the bees to have a little feast in that precious lime tree. So let's have a closer look at their work in action. It just also feels like it's really necessary to share this moment of gratitude. We're here now 3 months after coming from this really big city where we didn't have a garden, where we didn't have sunshine even in our home, and now we're standing in the middle of, I would call it really little paradise, despite the fact that we have like poor soil. I don't care, like we will find the plants that will fit that soil, and I think we will establish here something long term that will make not just us, but nature, insects, and maybe also the neighborhood here very happy. And I'm really excited about getting this started, and I'm really happy about even just these few herbs that started rooting here, and it feels like we're rooting just like those herbs right now, starting to grow slowly but surely into this space, into this ground, and into everything of these tasks that are coming ahead of us.
Well said, beautiful.
See when you look in the flames,